Welcome back, everyone. Craig here. So today's video is, I guess the topic today is the disappearance of medical malpractice lawsuits. Um, I was one of my law partners the other day left this in my office or my mailbox. It's from the um, Journal Sentinel, which is a newspaper over in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Looks like it's dated February 19th, 2024, so not very long ago. If I can find the article online, I'll link to that below. I don't know that you can read the article if you're not a subscriber to the Journal Sentinel, but I'll put a link to that article below. But so essentially the article, it's about a couple whose young daughter who died, looks like 30 hours after she was born. This was back in 2021. And there was efforts to resuscitate their baby, but the baby passed away. And the couple sort of went naturally looking for answers and sort of went on this journey trying to get medical records and answers and just some explanation from the hospital where this took place. And according to the article, and you could read it for yourself, it 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 seems like the hospital kind of like trickled out medical records and didn't provide them timely or all at once, which I don't think is uncommon, unfortunately. And then it kind of talks about the process that this couple went through trying to get some sort of an explanation, possibly an apology or something from the hospital. And this is something I see, unfortunately, all the time. Most hospitals, healthcare providers will have some sort of a, what do I say, complaint department, a spokesperson who will kind of take on complaints that people have if people had an outcome that they didn't like or something went wrong. And you could kind of go through this complaint process, and it's couched in terms of like trying to provide transparency to patients, but realistically usually what it is just to try to allow people to feel like they've been heard and maybe discourage them from taking any legal action. That's really what happens, and then eventually what happens is they just kind of stop communications, which is what happened here. So this couple went looking for attorneys to look at this potential medical malpractice case in Wisconsin. And because the child died, it would be considered a wrongful death. And not surprisingly, the couple had no luck finding a Wisconsin lawyer that would really even look at their case, much less take their case. Um, I sort of, have the same problem in my practice. Um, you get so many calls and I can only handle a certain number of cases at a time, and you have to be very selective because they're so difficult to win. And as I'll talk about here in a moment, there's all kinds of reasons why these cases, even if you win, may really be a loss in the long run. So the article says that they finally found an attorney, but based on this, I'm guessing maybe he isn't someone that specializes in medical malpractice, because they looked at it and thought that there was a case here, there was evidence of medical malpractice, but then the attorney looked up Wisconsin's damage caps and said, "Oh, I guess I'm not going to be able to take this case for the damage cap," which at least at this time the damage cap for wrongful death of a minor, I believe, is $500,000. I'll link to that statute below, and if I can find it. Um, there's different damage statutes for depending on if, let's say, the medical malpractice harms someone, but they don't pass away because of it. There's a damage cap on non-economic damages, pain and suffering damages of $750,000, which is higher than it used to be, but is still woefully inadequate. There's also damage caps if you have a wrongful death. I believe it's $500,000 in the case of the wrongful death of a minor, and I believe it is $350,000 for wrongful death of an adult, like a parent or spouse or something like that. There's a $250,000 cap if you have a claim against like employees of the state, so people that work for the UW health system, things like that. Um, what else? There's other caps too, like there's caps on attorneys' fees. There's caps all over the place. But what ended up happening for this couple is they could not find an attorney, Wisconsin attorney that would even consider taking the case, first of all. So then they started doing what most people do, and I get calls from people all over the country trying to find anyone that is willing to look at the case for them. And so they found a firm out of Baltimore who looked at it, and it does say that I think they tried contacting like six attorneys in Wisconsin before they started looking outside the state, and they found a firm in Baltimore who I believe had the records sent to a board certified as a pediatric physician, the appropriate expert, which is what you end up doing in these cases. And the expert thought that there was malpractice. There was evidence of malpractice both by staff. It was all hospital staff, but thought that there was a case. But then the Maryland firm, understandably not familiar with Wisconsin's damage caps, once they started looking at it, says, "Holy cow, we can't take this case on a $500,000 damage cap." Um, in the article, they talk about you can have up to $80,000 in case expenses to take one of these cases to trial. I think that may be on the lower side. I think, depending on the complexity of the case, you can very easily be into the six figures when it comes to case expenses, hiring experts. A lot of it's experts. So a lot of it is a cost of having experts review records, lots of records, do their research, author reports, give testimony, travel to Wisconsin for a trial. You could very easily spend more than $100,000 in just in case expenses. Um, to the point where most attorneys, even on a contingency fee basis, and as I mentioned, Wisconsin has caps on contingency fees that attorneys can charge. You end up with a situation where either the attorneys can't afford to take the case because even if they win, it's not going to cover their time into the case, or it leaves nothing for the patient themselves. So after they pay for attorney's fees, if you've got $100,000 in case expenses, you probably have healthcare providers that are health insurance providers that get reimbursed. There may not be anything left even if you win, and that's if you win. The rate of winning is very, very low. So this firm basically said, "Look, we think you've got a solid case here, but there's no way we could take the firm and they take the case, and they couldn't find another firm to take the case." And so they were out of luck. They had a legitimate case and had to abandon it because they couldn't find a lawyer that could take the case. There was some stats in here. I think this was back in 2013. Medical malpractice lawsuits in Wisconsin fell to 140, which was a 50% drop from 1999. So about 14 years. It dropped to 140. And then it says in 2022, there was 87 lawsuits filed across the entire state for medical malpractice. And I probably had one or two of those. Um, that is shockingly low, and that is unfortunately the state of medical malpractice really in all states, but especially in I would say Midwest states like Wisconsin. It and the other thing I should have mentioned the article talks about is one of the really frustrating things about it is because of Wisconsin's system on damage caps, and there's this fund system that's supposed to be there to pay for people's damages above $1 million, but because so few claims are paid out, it's grown to be this huge fund of over $1 billion as of 2022. $1 billion that is paid into this fund that is just growing because so few people can bring forth a case and win it. Um, so, and it also talks about, here's one thing I've talked about this before, but I want to emphasize this. Wisconsin's damage cap on medical malpractice, non-economic damages, so pain and suffering damages, is $750,000, which may seem like a lot of money to some people, but there was a Supreme Court case that the Wisconsin Supreme Court case heard a few years ago. Maybe it's closer to 10 years ago now. It involved a woman, probably in her 40s, had both arms and both legs amputated because of medical malpractice, and they brought that case to trial and they won. And they got the non-economic damages, I believe, were, how much were they? $16 million or something like that. They were reduced to $750,000. Imagine getting $750,000 for the pain and suffering of having no legs and no arms for the second half of your life. The Supreme Court of Wisconsin upheld that law. Um, there'll never be another case more egregious than that will give us an argument to overturn the damage cap. Now, maybe the Wisconsin Supreme Court has changed since then, so maybe a different Supreme Court would come down differently. But that, unfortunately, is the reality of Wisconsin's medical malpractice system. The article talks about there was a bill, I believe, introduced by the Democrats recently to raise the damage cap from $750,000 to maybe like 1.3 million. Again, that even at that amount, the math can be difficult to check out for lawyers because of the amount that it costs to bring these cases, and more importantly, the high rate of loss. Very few of these cases that go to trial actually win. And so it would be an improvement over the $750,000, but right now that's the damage cap, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's going to take an act of legislature to change that. So if you see this video, especially if you're in the state of Wisconsin, please share this, especially for people that maybe are prone to or inclined to accept damage caps, or under the notion that there's too many medical malpractice lawsuits, ambulance chasers, and things like that. Just isn't the case. That's not the case at all. And if you're in the state of Wisconsin and you're the unfortunate victim of medical malpractice, you have a very, very difficult time finding an attorney that can take your case and, more importantly, win your case. So anyway, if people have questions about that, feel free to leave a comment below, email me. If you're looking to actually talk to an attorney about your medical malpractice case, please don't leave a comment below. It'd be better to send me an email. You can go to the LinkTree, find that, send me an email. I get a lot of requests. I do my best to respond to people. Please just know in advance that there's only a very small portion of cases that I can take. I look at the ones that I can. If I can't help people, I try to refer them out to other people. But if you do need to talk to someone about your case, feel free to send me an email sooner rather than later. And if you indicate in there that you found me through this video, I'll try harder to make sure that I get to that and see if your case is something we can help you with. So anyway, thank you for listening, everyone, and until next time, everyone, have a good one.